When it came to picking my leading goal kickers for my Daz Talks Footy video, I actually found the Hawks to be the hardest. Not because I'm a supporter of the club, but just because there were so many options out there that delivered both good and bad opportunities for players to step up. So let's deep dive into the options and why I ended up picking the guy that I did. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe to join the Daz Talks Hawks family. Let's get into it. Back-to-back Jack is on the table. I just can't really go, it's going to be another 70-goal season. Historically, you look at a guy like Taylor Walker, for example, when he had his 70-goal season only a few years ago, didn't exactly back it up in the same way, which is a shame. And whilst I just think that Gunners' goals are just going to go somewhere else, I don't think they're going to disappear into the ethos, if you will. If he ends up kicking, say, 40 this year, then yes, you do have a differential of negative 33 there, but there are going to be other guys in this side that are going to be able to take those 33 goals. It's not as if we're going to become a disaster, I don't think, if Jack's not having that similar output. Not a bad thing. Jack is still incredibly clever. He's still incredibly talented. He's still an All-Australian from last year, for crying out loud. This is not an anti-Jack thing. I just find it hard to go 55 plus, which might get it done. I'm just struggling to get there. Yes, a little bit based on history, but also if the health of some other guys is top shelf, then the argument could be made that there might be times this year where Jack doesn't play, which would be bonkers and potentially unlikely, but enough for me to go, he's going to win it again. A little bit too hard for me to do, I'm afraid. From the master to the apprentice, Calsher Dear has been having an electric preseason, which you absolutely love to see if you're a Hawthorn fan, and of course, the great majority of us are. That's why the bloody hell you're watching. What I really like about Calsher, and by the way, when I mean master and apprentice, I don't necessarily mean that they are the same player. Calsher and Jack are different. Calsher just running straight at the ball carrier are potentially not as dangerous as Jack is, but Calsher in the air is an ever-loving threat, by the way. His leap is enormous. I think Jack's got him below the knees in terms of prime v prime. Now, that's not where Jack is now, I understand that. But again, granted, if Calsher and Mitch Lewis were both fit, Jack didn't start in the first two games of last year. And I just think that if Calsher's able to take that preseason form and what he's been able to do in terms of getting back, the improvements in his body shape, hopefully the improvements in his running patterns, for example, he's already a beautiful kick at goal. Him breaking out and having that kind of year that does produce a leading goal kicker-ish type of season would be amazing to see. The vibes would be immaculate. Was it enough for me to pick him? Mabior's won it before. Could he do it again? And as weird as this sounds, I hope not. Now, I know that's going to make it sound like I'm anti-Mabior, and I'm absolutely not. I really want to explain this properly. I think if Mabior wins the goal kicking, remember when he did it, he kicked 37 goals for the year, which except for Luke Bruce in 2020 and 2021, and Daniel Chick in 2002, where he won it with 29 goals, which is incredible. Not good, but incredible that that's the way that it ended up coming out. I just think that the peak of Mabior as a role would be 2 goals a game, 10 hit-outs, and around the ball as much as possible. I wouldn't even be opposed to him having some time on the wing, for example, if there aren't a lot of set shots going. He should be that tall forward that he's getting up the ground as often as we can. He's not necessarily going to be the deep threat. I even think that a Calsher Dear, if he's going to have the kind of year that it looks like he might be having, might be the deepest threat, and if not, Gunners like last year. But Mabs absolutely could be the guy that goes, plays every game, finishes second in the goal kicking, and like I said before, averages 2 goals a game. He's having time in the hit-outs. He's getting up the ground. I would just love if his disposals went up a little bit and his marks went up a little bit, but I don't necessarily think that his goals need to go up by 25 to 30 in order for him to have the productive season we're going to need if we want to win the flag. I look at a guy like David Hale, for example. Now, I know that Haley didn't win the goal kicking in any of his seasons, but no one really looked at Haley and went, yeah, we're going to pick you. Now, granted, Roughhead, Gunston, Rioli, Bruce were all going to be more viable options anyway, but can I also make the argument that that is exactly the same as what Mabior is going through right now? I'm not saying the names are the same, but there are just other guys ahead of him whilst he's going to have time in the ruck and doing other things that he's not necessarily standing at the top of the square or leading out at the ball carrier that makes you go, it probably could be him, it could be him, it could be him, but everything he does is valuable. That's why I didn't go with Mabs. Mitch Lewis, for me, if you could guarantee that all of these forwards would play 18 plus games a year, who do you think's going to win it? Mitch Lewis would be my pick by the length of Flemington. I look at Josh Tracy at Freo and go, we have that. Unfortunately, as we know, hasn't played more than 15 games in a season, and he was quite candid and honest about wanting to repay that to the Hawks moving forward, which is always good. I don't think it's going to be a cut and run sort of wanting to get out of the building type of situation for Mitch, which means that for the love of God, can we just please have the healthiest version of him? Thank you very much. But I think, again, if everything goes right for him, he is the guy that would go 60 plus is in him, because he had a stretch where, and I think it was over the course of 26 games, I believe, where he had kicked 70, which was more than everyone else in the competition at that point, except for Jeremy Cameron. Now, I'm not 100% sure if those numbers are right off the top of my head. It was a stretch that was like that, though, but his goals per game average, now, unfortunately, that was spread out over multiple seasons. So, like I said, that continuity is going to be key for Mitch. But if everyone is healthy in terms of our tools, he is our number one, and I will die on that hill. So, if you could go ahead and prove me right, Mitch, please, that would be awesome. Didn't pick him, though. But my selection in the end was Nick Watson, the Wizard, leading our goal kicking this season. Might be a controversial pick, absolutely, and I did label him as a roughie 1 of 3 in that video. And if you want to see my predictions for all the other clubs, please go and check that out on Daz Talks Footy. And if you're subscribed here but not over there, go do that. Or if you're subscribed over there and not here, click that subscribe button. 70% of people that are watching over the last month have not subscribed. Please do so. It helps me so much and it costs you nothing. So I'd really appreciate if you could do that. But my logic there remains the same here, is that with all of the hybridity that is going to be around the Hawks forward line this year, he is going to be one constant. Now, granted, I think he is going to be either a break glass in case of emergency CBA player, which means if the Hawks are down or up and needing to wrestle some momentum, he is going to be an offensive threat there. I think Dylan Moore will also be able to play that role reasonably well as we rotate guys like Newcomb, Nash, McKenzie, Ward, these kind of guys through that midfield. And, of course, Connor McDonald, who looks like he's going to be playing that role substantially moving forward. I just think the Wiz is going to be around that small forward line. I think he's still got some growth to go. He has improved his goal kicking in terms of numbers and accuracy, by the way, in both of his seasons. And I think that next step for him is being that legitimate threat. And no matter if the Hawks are trying to diversify their options through the aforementioned 4 tall forwards that I've talked about in this video so far, he is going to be at the feet of all of them. And I think having that level of opportunity whilst guys like Dylan Moore, who is also a viable option, is going to be around. Now, this logic could also apply to Jack Ginnivan, by the way, who might be around, but I just think the explosive pace of the Wizard, I think he is better than Jack, is why I went with the Wiz. But who do you think is going to lead the Hawks goal kicking this year? Comment below, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Fingers crossed, no matter who wins it, they are bringing the silverware home with them. Make sure you like the video. If you like the video, subscribe, join the Daz Talks Hawks family, and I'll see you in the next one.